It is 7 p.m. and I will call the meeting to order in the absence of the chairman, Ned Statchin, who is excused for tonight. I will be the chair for the evening. My name is Robert Eisner. Bruce, if you can do the roll call, please.
All right. Ned Statchin, Rich Berlandi,
Here.
David Fox, Robert Eisner,
Here.
Neil Kelsey,
Here.
Mark Simpson,
Here.
Andre Simons,
Present.
Jay Tulin,
I'm here.
and George Santos. All right, Commissioner, we're all set.
Okay, and who are we seating for who, Bruce? Any suggestions?
You can take a maybe substitute Jay for David.
Okay, and that gives us our quorum.
All right.
So Jay, you'll be seated for David Fox then, Commissioner Fox.
Thank you.
We'll start with item number 1, Country Club of Farmington, 806 Farmington Avenue. Can we hear from the applicant, please?
Greg, are you here?
Yep.
Okay. Are you gonna start, or who's taking over?
Well, maybe Art.
Art wants it. Okay.
Okay,
Either way.
yeah. So we're just here to revisit some of the questions, I guess, that were asked about the footage. So on the river side of the road, there is approximately 16,600 linear feet of mainline piping that would require open trench excavation. About 3,400 of it travels together. You can see 2 lines travel together along 15 and down towards the river. It's the, yeah, exactly. So for that 3,400 feet, the one trench will accommodate both lines, and that's the majority of the big pipe on that side of the road. The rest of it is all 4-inch, pretty much, with the exception of a little bit of 6-inch that's existing on that dotted line that we'll reuse. Then there's about 30,000 feet of 2-inch piping that would be installed using a vibratory plow, so that's not gonna have an open trench. So that would be, I don't know if you remember the pictures of that process, but it looks like a little incision through the turf. That's the open trench, yeah. And then that's the vibratory plow. So we'll dig a start hole, and then you'll see the little incision going across, and then we'll hand dig for the sprinkler heads that go on that. And then for the stream crossings, or the swales, I should say, the little drainage swales, they're about 20 feet on average across, about 18 inches wide. So in total, with the 5 crossings, we estimate that to be about 150 square feet of disturbance through there, and that'll all get restored to exactly the way it looks right now.
Thank you, Art. Is that the end of your presentation?
Unless there's any other questions or anything that you need, that's really all that I have.
Okay, we'll go around and check with commissioners, see if there's any questions. And before I go around to the other commissioners, schedule wise, I guess it's good that there aren't any golfers out on the course right now. Is the winter gonna create any problems schedule wise?
I hope not. As long as the weather stays reasonably, so that we can be in the ground. The weather, when we were wetter now than we were, sadly, but it's still not, there's still no water in any of them to speak of. But we would like to get that big pipe in as quickly as possible, just given the fact that I've seen that, like we all have, underwater so many times. I would like to get out of that wet area as quickly as we can.
Thank you. I'll go around and check with the commissioners, see if there's any questions, starting with Commissioner Berlandi.
No, I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Kelsey,
Nothing from me.
Commissioner Simons.
I have no questions.
Okay, Commissioner Simpson.
No questions.
Okay, and Commissioner Tulin.
I don't have any questions, but if the course was open, I am a golfer and I would be happy to go play, but I don't have any questions.
Could do an inspection, you know.
Okay,
Maybe
so
next spring, we'll see.
with that said, I think it'd be appropriate, and there's no express concerns, other than the fact that the scope of the project did require the application. Um, I would gather the sense would be a motion to approve with the conditions that work occur during low flow periods when possible, and to keep the staff apprised. Is there a motion of that nature or otherwise?
Chair, hold on. Is you mind just check it in here? We need to determine the
Significance.
significance first.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you. Yep. Thanks, Bruce. I think the dialogue from the last meeting and this meeting was that while it was regulated activity, it was non-significant in nature. Is there a motion on significance?
This is Mark. I would say insignificant.
Okay, is there a second?
This is Rich, second.
All those in favor of a motion for non-significant signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. So, back to my prior train of thought, a motion to approve with conditions potentially to conduct work in low flow periods when possible and to keep staff apprised. Is there a motion of that nature?
It's Mark. I make that motion.
Thank
Seconded.
you. Is there, great. And that was Rich. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Gentlemen, thank you. Have happy holidays, and you can follow up with Bruce and Sandy in the office.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 2, Tungus Community College, Tungus Country Club, sorry, 87 Town Farm Road. Is there someone
Yes,
to
yes,
present?
I was struggling with the mute button.
Yeah.
Just trying to turn on my camera quickly. Beautiful. All right. Good evening. My name is Matthew Gustafson. I'm a Connecticut registered soil scientist with All Points Technology. I'm here on behalf of Tungus Country Club for a determination of unregulated or non-regulated activity associated with a maintenance plan for Poplar Swamp Brook. I believe we have Albert Tomaso with us tonight, who is the owner and operator, who would like to say a few words before we get started. Albert, are you here?
Yes, he is. Okay, let me just bring him over. He was in the I think I saw him pop in as the attendee.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, Albert, you should be all set to talk.
Thank you, Bruce. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I just wanted to quickly introduce myself and our family. My grandfather built this portion of Tungus Country Club back in 1962 and the adjacent Tungus Village in the 1970s. And it's an old facility from that regard, and so it takes a lot of care and maintenance to keep it running at full steam into the future here. So grateful for the support of Matt and Dean, who are here, and Brian Barrington, our Vice President of Agronomy over the 5-Course Alliance Golf portfolio. He oversees all the maintenance standards and our on-site superintendent and can answer any questions as well. And just want to thank the commission very much for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Tomaso.
Thank you, Albert. You can go to the next slide, Bruce, please. So to put some perspective here, this is which I'm sure all of you are familiar with, this is the Golf Course Country Club facility at 87 Town Farm Road. You can see on the USGS map on your right of this slide. We are on Poplar Swamp Brook, which is the section of Poplar Swamp Brook just west of the Town Farm Road. This generally drains west to east, eventually draining under Town Farm Road and eventually discharging to the Farmington River. The activities, the location of activities for this determination consist of 2 culvert locations, both generally located on the green course's 18th hole. The first culvert being an existing 36-inch iron pipe culvert, and the second being a twin 36-inch corrugated metal culvert crossing. Both currently have paved cart paths surfaces. In addition, this stretch of Poplar Swamp Brook had been identified with generally 7 locations with substantial sediment accumulation, vegetation, nuisance vegetation, and or debris buildup. So that is the general locations of our review for tonight. Go to the next, please. So a bit of backstory that generated this individual project. All Points Technology was engaged by Tunxis to map all of the wetlands, the regulated resources at the country club, with the intent of generating a management plan that encompasses all their routine maintenance activities that potentially would be regulated under the town's wetland regulations. As part of that, we'd assessed a couple of these culverted crossings as well as Poplar Swamp Brook. And in doing so, we'd identified, and this picture is probably the best illustration of some of the conditions of these 2 crossings. The picture on your right is of the second crossing, the culvert 2. This is the inlet side. As you can see, there's quite a bit of debris buildup. The culverts are in pretty bad shape. They're actually bent upwards, crushed, rusting, and generally rotting out. The real purpose is that because of these conditions, both the culverts in disrepair as well as the years of accumulation of sediment, it has resulted in exacerbated flooding conditions both within the stream as well as the country club courses and backing up all the way to the subdevelopment. So to alleviate that, we've created this or developed this plan for restoration and maintenance. Again, we'll be seeking a determination that this is all considered non-regulated activities as they are entirely maintenance level activities consisting of removal of sediment and repair or removal of said culverts, as well as repairs of some of the cart paths. You can go to the next slide, please. So I'm not going to reread you your own regulations, but we are looking for determination of non-regulated use under section 4.B.2. The key portions of this are obviously this is a golf course, which makes this the applicable portion of the regulations, as well as this kind of second piece of the first sentence, provided they do not disturb the natural indigenous character of the wetland or water course through these various activities. Obviously, our project is proposing removal of material, in this case, sediment deposition, as well as alteration in the case of removal of the culvert. However, the key kind of qualifier here is both of those activities actually bring the stream back into a native and natural function of the stream rather than alteration of the stream. So again, that's how we see the interpretation of this particular regulation, and we feel that we fit under this interpretation. If you can go to the next slide, please. So Poplar Swamp Brook, generally they are sections west of West Town Farm Road. It's about an 1,800 linear foot segment of the water course. Generally ranges from 5 to 8 feet in width. The banks are generally characterized, as you can see on the pictures on your right, ranges from grasses to some goldenrod species and individual sparse shrubs that have been left to kind of overgrow. The picture on the bottom right, the left-hand side is the western portion of the stream as it abuts the subdivision. And the right side is obviously, as you can see in the right-hand side of the picture, is the golf course. So Tunxis has done a good job maintaining the right side of the bank, but the left side is obviously left unmaintained, being associated with the subdevelopment. The upper right picture is as you look towards Town Farm Road with the country club on the top left. You are currently looking at the one of the crossings used not one of the crossings that will be replaced, however. Again, several locations on this stream have some substantial depths of sediment buildup, as well as debris dams, large limbs left in, and some various sometimes some trash debris that washes in from the two stormwater discharges that come out from the Tungus subdivision. In portions of the stream that are more natural and native that haven't experienced this sediment accumulation and organic accumulation, it's akin to the bottom right photo, where it's generally devoid of vegetation, consisting of a sandy cobble bottom. However, you can see on the right where those accumulations have occurred, it's created a pocket of substrate that has allowed nuisance vegetation like narrowleaf cattail and common reed or Phragmites to take hold and really choke out the stream in those sections. If you don't mind going to the next slide. This is the general overview map for this portion of Poplar Swamp Brook. The key features here, the lime green shading that runs generally top to bottom in the middle of the map is Poplar Swamp Brook, indicated by the blue label. Your two culvert crossings that are in the subject of this determination, Culvert 1 and Culvert 2, are marked by the twin pink or purple points, kind of centrally located. And then all of these sediment restoration areas, all 7 of them, are identified by the yellow and brown dashed lined polygons. So as you can see, the sediment areas are generally spread out. I believe in the application materials that you've received, or the materials you've received rather, we've gone into detail in each of the 7 locations, general depths of sediment deposit in each of those, extents, etc. You can go to the next slide, please. So we'll get into each of these kind of 3 separate activities. The first being the Culvert 1 repair. This is the most substantial activity that we are proposing. I'll start with the pictures on the right. As you look, this is the picture on the top right. You're looking north across the cart path crossing with Poplar Swamp Brook to the right. That right-hand side is the outfall to Poplar Swamp Brook. The bottom right-hand picture is the actual outfall in the culvert. Some key things to note on these pictures, and I'll start with the top again. As you can see, there's a little bit of a depression in the right-hand side of the pavement on the cart path, as well as a large section of broken curbing on that area. Both of these are important because this is kind of resulted in the problems we see in the culvert, which is that stormwater accumulates on this curbing and is allowed to direct discharge to this head wall, which has resulted in a bit of erosion that you can see on the bottom picture on the right-hand side of the culvert. That head wall has started to wash out. It's resulted in some sediment buildup, as well as some of the asphalt and broken curbing that you can see in the bottom of that outfall side of the culvert. The general plan, which I'll go into detail when we review the engineering schematic, is to repair the cart path, repair the curbing, which will divert water where it was historically supposed to be diverted, which is farther down the cart path to the north, or to the back of this photo. And if you can see in the back right-hand side, there's a natural curb break where water was supposed to be draining out. At that point, an under drain type swale is proposed. It'll be washed stone topped with some topsoil and then reseeded to allow for water to both be controlled as well as filtered before it's discharged to Poplar Swamp Brook. As you can see on the bottom right, their culvert is broken on the right-hand side. We evaluated replacement of the culvert. However, it seemed that would be a much more intrusive approach to a culvert that, besides the outfall, is in good condition. So instead, we are proposing modifying the outlet to retrofit a flared end outfall. To do that, we'll be peeling back the head wall to expose enough of the existing culvert to fit on an adapter that will connect the existing culvert to the flared end piece that will be installed. The head wall will then be restored back and reinforced with modified riprap to the same grade that it currently is. and then the flared end outfall will be set into a little bit of that riprap at the bottom. If you can go to the next slide, please. The second culvert is a little bit more straightforward. Again, we evaluated repair and or replacement of this culvert. However, through our conversations with Tunxis, it was clear that they use this cart path fairly infrequently. It's solely used by maintenance staff. So they volunteered that rather than keep this crossing and go through the process of repairing or replacing it, they would be amenable to, and what we're currently proposing, which is to remove it and restore the natural stream through this section. So again, as you can see on the bottom left-hand picture, the inlet is in pretty severe disrepair. The picture on your bottom right is actually the outlet section of one of the 36-inch pipes. You can see it's fully rotting out. So repair really wasn't an option, and replacement would be a significant activity within the stream. So again, our plan is to entirely remove it through excavation, pull out the cart path, the overlying fill, removal of the culverts, as well as any underlying fill, which we expect would be underneath these culverts. The banks will be matched to the upstream and downstream side, as well as the stream bottom. The one thing we are proposing, because we do expect to encounter fill below the culverts, is to over excavate that fill out below the grades of the matching stream channel, and then replace that material with suitable stream bed material that we harvest from one of the stream restoration areas, which I'll go into a little bit more detail in that section. All these areas will be stabilized, and any other areas that are created of disturbance during these processes will all be stabilized with naturally woven erosion control blankets, and then undersown with, in the case of the stream bed areas, a native wetland seed mix, something like a New England wetland plants wet mix or something comparable. And the side slopes will be seeded with a conservation seed mix. At this point, I'll make note that all of these activities will be supervised and directed by an environmental compliance monitor who is experienced with stream restoration and wetland restoration work, in particular to make sure that these activities are done per plan, that the depths are met of sediment removal in the case of this stream crossing, that the over excavation is done to remove any excess fill, to identify suitable stream bed material that can be replaced. That monitor will also be responsible for documenting all of this activity and generating a report that will be issued to the town upon completion. If you can move to the next slide, Bruce, please. So again, like I said before, all 7 locations of stream restoration are detailed in the submission materials. I'll go through the general approaches that we have for all of them, as they are mostly similar in characteristics between all 7. Generally, the depths of sediment range in these from 6 inches to 2 feet. A good indication of that is the picture on your bottom left, that it's a spade, and you can see about 1.5 feet of that darker material. That's all sediment accumulation that's built up over the years. You can see as it lightens up at the bottom, that is some of your coarser natural stream bed material that you can see in some of the other pictures that we've shown, that was the old material that historically would have been exposed, been your natural stream bed. So our proposal is to remove all of that overlying material. For one, in the areas where it's causing a buildup of vegetation, I'll remove the substrate that's supporting that nuisance vegetation. But more importantly, it will remove some of the restrictions that are resulting in these flooding conditions. In addition, we are looking to remove and kind of clean out the stream of any woody debris that has accumulated over the years. Top right photo is a good example of kind of the woody debris that we see. Because Tunxis isn't able to maintain that right side because it's off property, occasionally trees fall in. And again, we'll be looking to remove, that tree that's in the, or that log that's in the top right is a good example of something they'll be looking to clean out. While some of those features sometimes are good for stream function and value, unfortunately, in the case of this stream, they eventually wash down into culverts and result in debris dams, which causes exacerbating flooding conditions. All these things result in, again, flooding of the course, flooding of the pathways, destabilization of the crossings, all risking the use and safety of patrons in the course. You can move to the next slide, please. This is the general engineered schematic that we've provided for the two culverted crossings. An overview of the two crossings are provided in the top left, with your culvert 1 location on the left-hand side and your culvert 2 on the top right. I'll start with the culvert 1 and kind of quickly go through again what we've already talked about, which is, repair of the asphalt road, repair of the curbing, which would facilitate the removal of water to the north to the proposed road leak-off area, which will be stabilized with a gravel under drain that will then discharge water back properly and and controlled back to Poplar Swamp Brook, as well as the repair and fitting of the flared end, retrofitting of the flared end and connection at the outlet point. The bottom, if you scroll just down a little bit, Bruce, that has the details for the culvert retrofitting. And then if you scroll a little bit farther to the right, it gives you the detail on that stone trench drain, as well as the specs on the flared end section that will be retrofitted. Then if you move a little bit farther right, that is the detail or the plan view for the second culvert crossing. Again, this one's much simpler, strictly just removal of the crossing in its entirety and restoring the natural stream bed. Tunxus is proposing this time of year specifically, and I think the last applicant may mention this as well. We've been in an incredibly dry period. This stream has not been running any water. It's been dry for the last about 3 to 4 months. Despite the little bit of rain we've gotten recently, it's still dry. So we want to make this, we're hopeful that this will be considered an unregulated activity or non-regulated activity, and approved tonight, so Tunxus can move quickly in December to make these repairs and this restoration and these maintenance activities while the stream remains dry, before the eventual monsoon that we're going to catch back up with that will come at some point in the future. Again, we consider this non-regulated activity because these are all maintenance activities and are specifically, they improve and enhance the natural condition of the stream and really bring it back into the condition that it was supposed to be or had been in prior to the accumulation of sediments and some of the disrepair of some of the culvert crossings. So at this point, I think I've talked enough. I'll open it up to any questions or discussion point that the commission may have, and thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Matt. And Matt and Albert, that's all you have for the presentation, correct? Okay, great. Thanks very much. And I think it's a very fair question to pose as to whether this falls under the exemption for use as of right. And I will go around and poll the commission on that. I have a differing opinion, and you probably have a little skepticism, since the application immediately 4 years was not all that different. While a golf course, I think the extent of the work and the fact that there is a fair amount of excavation and removal of material, as well as deposition going on, that it falls outside of what is allowed as of right for a golf course or other recreational entity. I don't have any concern about the work that's going to be done. In the end, I think it's going to be beneficial for the golf course and the ecosystem at large. But I do think it falls within the regulated activity versus exempt.
And Bruce, if I may, and don't mean to interrupt you, if that is the position of the commission, we would request that the vegetation maintenance, specifically on the banks, the mowing, shrub removal, and some of that woody debris removal, I think that and you, I'd be interested in your opinion, but that feels like it's more clearly within the maintenance exemption, if that could be separated out as a non-regulated use.
Fair point and request, and Matt, I would agree with you that if you want to do, that, sort of superficial routine maintenance, removal of the woody debris and dealing with the vegetative growth, I would concur that that is within the use as a right, but it's when you get into the disruption of the service, excavation, deposition of materials, I think that it falls outside of the exemption. But I will go around and I just have a single opinion on the commission. I want to hear from the others. So I'll go alphabetically around again. Rich Berlandi, your thoughts on regulated or exempt?
I would agree with the position that you espoused there, Robert. And I don't have a problem with the applicant taking care of some of the vegetation and woody tree removal as of right. I had one question as to where they're proposing the culvert removal. Was there a geotextile lining going to be put in there to protect the stream bed until the vegetation can establish itself?
No, we are proposing a naturally woven erosion control blanket. It's similar to, the synthetic ones you see. However, synthetic ones commonly or recently have been found that, they have wildlife entanglement issues. The naturally woven ones are just as engineered to protect the surface, and help, establish vegetation, but they don't have that same wildlife entanglement issue. So that is our current proposal to stabilize the stream, while vegetation establishes.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kelsey. Thoughts on exempt or regulated?
I guess I'd concur with your opinion and that of Commissioner Berlandi. And I think the area that I'm more concerned about is the second crossing where they're actually digging up and removing the culvert and the pipe. I think the first crossing where there is more, in my mind at least, aligned with maintenance and repair. It's a second crossing that I'm concerned about.
Thank you. Commissioner Simmons?
Yes, I would also agree that it was the second one that kind of triggered to me at least that it should be a regulated activity for a portion of this, but I think the mowing and everything could be separated as well. I do agree with what has been said so far.
Thank you. Commissioner Simpson?
I guess I'll agree with everyone so far. I would like to, if we can come to agreement, it sounds like we are, for them to do some maintenance before winter sets in. That would set them up ready for the springtime when we should expect heavier, rain or snow and melting snow. So far I'm hearing is what everyone in the commission is saying. It's regulated to a point, but do the maintenance is not.
Thank you. Commissioner Tulin?
I actually was thinking the same thing, and I as I was listening and trying to wrap my head around 4B2, I was thinking to myself that the nature of this work does seem more complex, and if that's the bottom line to allowing the exemption, although the presentation was very straightforward, I would agree that this is out of the scope of non-regulated use, and that we should move forward in that way. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we have pretty strong consensus on it is a regulated activity. Bruce, do we need a motion to accept or is the application automatically accepted?
No, we'll have to accept the application. So
Okay,
it was motion with that was the first thing, was determine if it's regulated or if it's non-regulated or not. If not, then we move on to a normal application. So we'll accept the application, determine the need for a sidewalk, and if you guys want to vote on its significance, we can do that. But we'll have to postpone until the next meeting in January.
Okay.
I-
Yep, go ahead. Who's talking?
This is Albert. Sorry, I have one last question before you vote. And I hear loud and clear that the full-scale removal is a sort of small construction project here that requires an application, which fortunately Matt prepared and submitted. As at least one commissioner mentioned, would the more straightforward maintenance of the first culvert, which is not our only culvert on property, be something we could at least discuss one more time and consider that might fall outside the scope and something we could also proceed with?
You beat me to the punch, Albert. And I'd also like to, at this point, try to clarify the sediment and nuisance vegetation removal, that also falls under maintenance, just to kind of clarify which of these elements we can, use this opportune period to essentially get as much done as possible before the inevitable rains.
Yeah, and we can go around and try and give you a better sense as to what is under the exemption and what is not. But I was also going to lean towards, deferring to Bruce to help guide on some of those activities. I think the feedback from the initial discussion with the commission was that the vegetative removal was clearly part of the routine maintenance and is exempt. I think even my own opinion is even culvert one, because of the need to reconstruct the head wall. You're doing sort of both. You need to remove material and then replace and substitute in additional material. I think that falls outside of the exemption. If you're doing removal of sediment, it's a minor removal. I think could be exempt, but without going through. It's going to be difficult to say whether sediment removal is exempt or regulated, because I think it's going to vary on the depth and the extent of the removal. That's my opinion. Bruce, I'm going to actually, before I go around to the commission, Bruce, do you have any input or guidance on the discussion?
No, at this point, I think, I mean, I think it's kind of up to the commission at this point. I think culvert one, maybe the only one I think I have a little discussion on is it's not as much. I think they're only going back. I think, what does it say on this? Oh, forgot how far back they're going. It's not that long. They're just gonna be cutting it back a little bit to slide this on
Yeah, I think it's about 12
around it.
to 18 inches, something in that range, foot
So
and a half.
going back to going back to there. There you go. So it's really not, it's pretty much cleaning up around here, adding on that riprap extent, or adding on that culvert end, and then just backfilling this area up and cleaning this all up. So I think that could possibly fall under the maintenance, but I see your point on the other ones with the large amount of removal of the sediment with the removal of the pipes and on the culvert too. I definitely do see that as a large amount of work. So
Okay, so I'll go around, I'll check with the commission. I also think we need to determine if we want to do a site walk or not. I don't feel the need to do a site walk. I think the activities are pretty straightforward. We're also getting into a pretty tough time of year to plan and do a site walk. We don't have any time at the end of the workday and the weekends. It's going to be hit or miss with weather. Hopefully we don't have any major snowfalls, but that also will. And then of course we do have some holidays coming up. So I'll go around, and if I can get the input from the rest of the commission on other activities besides the vegetative removal that could be under the exemption or regulated, and if you want to do a site walk. So Rich, or Commissioner Berlandi, I'll start with you.
I don't see the need for a site walk. And I would be okay with including the repairs to that one culvert outside of the application as maintenance.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Kelsey?
Yeah, I agree. And I've done plenty of site walks this summer through those areas and come up empty looking for my balls, but I don't see the need for any additional site walks for these projects. I do have a procedural question though, maybe for Bruce. Since the application includes all this activity, how do we, or can we parse this out into some of it is maintenance, some of it is not, or do we have to consider the application as a whole?
I mean, I think we could do this a couple ways. I think the commission can just note that, and it could be noted as part of the minutes. Or after we're done, if the applicant wanted to submit a revised application, just updating it based on the commission meeting tonight, they can do that as well. So I would say either one would be fine.
Yeah,
So
and, I think I think that the statutes fully delegate the authority to us to make the decision. So I think that our dialogue, if we deem with the review of the application and the discussion tonight, if we parse out activities, even though it's part of the application, I think we have the statutory authority to parse out those activities and determine that they are non-regulated versus regulated. So I think I don't think it's an all or nothing. The application can address a variety of activities, and we have the ability to determine which are exempt as of right and which are regulated.
Agreed.
Okay. So if we do go down this route of declaring that part of this is maintenance and then part of it is regulated, would the applicant have to submit a new application, or they can still just, we can continue this one?
Yeah, we're essentially modifying the
Okay.
application with our determination, so the applicant would not need to refile. And Bruce, you
Okay.
can correct me if you have a differing opinion.
No, oh, I agree. Yes, I apologize. I didn't mean that they would have to resubmit a new application. And we would start all over. I'm just saying that if we wanted to go that route, they would submit a revised application and it would just stay with this existing. You know, we're not gonna make them start all over again in January.
Okay. All right.
What I can volunteer is, certainly we can resubmit the application form and the deep reporting form so it reflects the correct numbers and location extent. And maybe that's kind of a middle ground between the two options.
I would be happy to receive a modified application and take some of the burden off of Bruce.
Yep.
Okay, Neil, did that
Okay.
address all of your questions?
Yeah, it does, and thank you, because I don't believe this has ever come up before, so I have a better understanding of the procedure now. I do have just one other question for the applicant. You mentioned that you were brought in, or the firm was brought in to do a comprehensive review of all the acreage over at Tunxus. Is there any other areas that will be coming down the road, or is this really the only stuff that needs to be addressed?
Certainly of this significance or, this level of activity, this is kind of an exclusive portion. There is other areas on the golf course that I know through our discussions, we have plans to essentially bring up to modern day. But again, the impetus of us being brought on was to develop an entire management plan. Obviously, the majority of the golf course is within the floodway. So it's under your jurisdiction. I know there's been discussions with Bruce and Shannon and town staff that essentially all the activities are potentially under the jurisdiction of the town. So we've been brought in and we're in the process of developing a whole scale management plan for the golf course that we will be submitting to your commission at a later date, likely at the beginning of next year, that encompasses all of their routine maintenance, how they do it, how we're going to be compliant, for your review and approval as a formal application for all of their routine maintenance activities.
Okay, thanks for that. Nothing further from me.
Thank you. Commissioner Simons?
I do not have anything further. I do agree. I think Culvert 1 is part of the routine maintenance piece. And as for sidewalk, I do not think it is necessary to have one. I think I covered everything that was required of me. So, yep.
Thank you. Commissioner Simpson?
Yes, no site visit, walk. I don't think that's necessary. And I believe Culvert 1 can be included with the vegetation maintenance. I kind of feel, yes, there'll be disturbance, but to get this thing fixed sooner than later, I think more harm can be done if we don't get this repaired in a timely fashion. That's all.
Okay, Commissioner Tulin?
Yeah, I don't think there's a sidewalk either. I'm gonna go along with what the rest say as far as, Culvert 1. And I guess also I was thinking the same thing as Commissioner Kelsey. Procedurally, if we're accepting an application for part of this and we're gonna consider another part non-regulated use, how the language of the motion would be. I'm assuming we would need to make a motion to accept an application and then maybe a separate motion to determine non-regulated use. So I guess I was trying to figure in my head what that would sound like, since we're kind of breaking this up into a couple of different things. Otherwise, I don't have any other questions, and hopefully what I just said made some sense.
Yes, indeed.
The
Thanks.
the only value in the sidewalk for me was maybe I could find some of my lost golf balls, but that's,
I feel much better that I'm not the only person that's lost dozens, well, hundreds of balls there. Um, so Bruce, on the acceptance, because we determined that the activities in totality were not exempt, do we need a motion to accept or is it automatically accepted?
No, what I would do is this, I would probably first vote on, or, I mean, I think I'd like to have a little bit of a vote to clarify what's exempt, all right? And just so it's clear, and then after that, we can vote on the application, or vote to accept the application, the remaining portions of the work as the application, and then we can continue till to January 8th.
Bruce, if I may, it may help some folks if we go back up to the sixth slide that has the overview map that shows all the activities. As an again an overview.
Right there, that one right there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think, obviously from what I'm hearing, it seems like they're more or less in agreement that culvert one, which is the purple dots to the bottom of the page, to the middle, the lower ones, as well as all the areas in the yellow and brown dash polygons are being considered as non-regulated maintenance activities, as well as just the general bank mowing and debris removal, woody debris removal. And the exception to the non-regulated activity would be the culvert 2 removal, which would be the new not new, the revised application. That would be a regulated activity.
But I don't know if that included the sediment removal in these areas though, right? I thought that was separate. I think they talked about the wooded debris, but I don't want to speak for the commission. They can discuss. I thought it was the wooded debris and the brush, but not the sediment removal in here. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, Bruce, that's where I ended up. And again, we can go around and check with the commission and see if there were different opinions because I still am gonna, and I'm fine with the commission. If the majority of the vote is that culvert 1 activities are exempt, I'm fine with that, but I'm going to dissent on that aspect of the project. So I'll quickly go around. I think that this sediment removal, some of it may be exempt, but some of it is regulated. So if we have to paint it with a single brush, I would say that the sediment removal is regulated. We'll go around quickly and seek the input from the rest of the commission. I'll go in reverse order this time. Jay, on the sediment removal, do you feel it's exempt or regulated?
I think it sounds like the consensus is that it was exempt, so I'm going to go along with that. I'm not really sure how to answer that, but I do have a procedural question. I'm still not sure. I'm going to just jump into what I'm thinking. The application, we're accepting an application, but we're accepting a, if I understand this correctly, the way this conversation is playing out, we would be presumably accepting a modified application, or are we just accepting the application as is and then we'll sort it out?
Yeah, right now we're going through and we're going to try to identify what activities we all agree are exempt as of right. Under the regulations, once that is done, then essentially we'll be accepting a modified application for those remaining activities.
I'm actually not sure how to answer that question, and that probably shouldn't surprise you, other than it sounded like, with the exception of yourself, the others thought that it still lies under an exempted. So I'm going to go along with that, and hopefully that answer is okay.
Yeah, and the current, because the current question being queried is on the removal of the sediment, whether
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
exempt or regulated.
It sounded like the others thought it was exempt, so I'm going to go along with that. I really
Yep.
don't know how to answer that any other way.
Sure. Okay. Yep. I have you down as exempt. Commissioner Simpson,
I would say exempt.
Commissioner Simons,
I would also agree and say it's exempt.
Commissioner Kelsey,
I agree.
Commissioner Burley.
Okay, I'm gonna be the flying unit here. Sediment removal I mean, that's kind of invasive into the stream. I mean, if we're talking about removing some vegetation and some woody material, and we're not disturbing, you know, exposing the stream to erosion, yeah, that's fine. But I would lean toward the application being the culvert removal and the sediment removal. And then all the other stuff can be as of right. That's my view. Anyways, thank you.
Okay, so we'll be a little bit split on the sediment removal. It looks like Commissioner Verland and I are of the opinion that it's regulated. The other four commissioners are of the opinion that it is exempt. So by vote, it would exempt it, which, you know, I'm fine with. So I think so we can make a motion for concurrence that the vegetative management, vegetative removal, woody debris removal, mowing is exempt. The culvert one repair work is exempt, and that the removal of sediment is exempt would be the motion. And then we'll go around to see if people are in favor or opposed. Matt and Albert, before we call that question, any other aspects of the application you think should be in the exempt, or have we covered it all? Setting aside culvert number 2.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair determination and will allow us to do some of the most critical work during this dry period while we have it. And then we can, you know, follow up in January with the next meeting and have the application heard for that culvert too. And then, you know, at that point, hopefully we've got a majority of the rest of this work and we can quickly to move on to that work in January to get everything done and keep doing a no rain dance until we're done.
Okay, so I will ask for a motion on the determination that the vegetative management, culvert 1 repair, and sediment removal activities are exempt as of right and should occur under the direction of the town staff. So that would require coordination by the applicant with the town staff. Is there a motion?
This is Mark, so moved.
Second?
Jay, I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Yeah, and I will also oppose because I feel the sediment removal is a regulated activity. So that would be a motion passing by the majority of votes for the activity being exempt. And Sandy, I want to make sure you captured all that because you're the ones gonna have to move it into the minutes.
I did, thank you.
Okay, thanks so much. All right, so now we need a motion to accept the application for the remaining activity being the removal of culvert, the removal work associated with culvert number 2. Right, Bruce, we have to motion to accept, we need,
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yep.
is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Rich, I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Darn
Opposed?
it, I was on mute, sorry.
Okay, so Jay, you're saying that you concur? Said
No,
aye?
yeah, I was gonna second it, but I was on mute. I didn't realize it, so I'm glad someone else did.
Okay, motion passes for the motion to accept. Regarding significance, while I do believe it's a regulated activity, I don't think it rises to the level of a significant activity which would cause a hearing. Does everyone concur with that, or is there anyone that feels it's a significant activity? I'm not going to go around and get everyone's opinion. I'll just, give it a minute.
I concur.
Agreed. Agreed.
Okay, is there a motion that this is a non-significant regulated activity?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Simons. Is there a second?
Second, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so that will, and Matt and Albert, you can work with Bruce on modifying the application if you have any questions as to what, it was covered by our determination on what's exempt. I'll just follow up with Bruce. So we appreciate your time and have a happy holiday. Happy holidays.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
You
You
as
too.
well.
And the next meeting is January 8th, just so you guys can put it on the on your calendars. Okay?
We'll be here.
Thank you. Look
All
forward.
right, thanks.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys later.
Good night.
Good
Night.
night.
That will bring us on to item number 3, Brick Farm LLC, 110 Brickyard Road.
Yes.
The presenter could just state their name and address for the record.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for your time. My name is John Ruzbatsky, and I represent Brick Farm LLC, the owners of the 110 Brickyard Road property where we have the pending application. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
you gotcha. Just-
All right. So we are requesting that the commission makes a determination that seasonal maintenance of the on-site stormwater detention basin be permitted as a right and a non-regulated activity. The existing detention basin has become overgrown with invasive cattails, and sediment levels have risen to encroach the pipe outlets that discharge into the basin. Site photos were included in the narrative. Field observations were taken by the town staff on November 20th, following discussions regarding our desire to perform maintenance activity. Observations included minimal standing water in the basin currently, and vegetative growth had been removed from a slight mowing procedure with fragments of the left behind vegetation taken out of the basin. The 15-inch RCP, which takes the majority of the parking lot water, has approximately 6 inches of sediment in the flared end. However, all the water has collected here, indicating that sediment in the pond is slightly higher. The 12-inch PVC outlet for the south side roof and the back parking lot is also under 6 inches of sediment, and the PVC 8-inch outlet to Brickyard Road is buried under some brush and stone. The proposed activity, work to be started this winter with an expected duration of 1 week to be restored upon the completion. Manually remove sediment from outlets of the pipes discharging into the basin. Clearing brush and stone from the 8-inch PVC outlet on Brickyard Road. Protect the 8-inch PVC outlet with staked hay bales. Where cattails are encountered, soil will be removed with an excavator bucket, unearthing cattail root mass, soil to be recovered from the root mass, cattails and root material to be placed in a container for off-site disposal. Remove approximately 8 inches of remaining sediment material from the basin floor using a mini excavator with blade to achieve a new base elevation of 186.6, allowing for approximately 2 inches below the pipe discharging into the basin. Basin floor to be restored with perennial ryegrass hydroseeding and wood fiber mulch. We propose the ongoing seasonal maintenance activity as follows: mowing of the basin walls and floor when dry, biannual clearing of accumulated sediment and invasive species as required, restoration of the basin floor by perennial ryegrass hydroseeding with wood fiber mulch, and a slurry as required. If there are any questions, I'll turn it back to the commission.
John, thanks for that overview, and it's a good thing you're not a golf course because I do think that this falls within the scope of what the exempt activity is. The detention basin clearly requires maintenance in order to function, and by not maintaining it, it poses greater environmental harm. So I will poll the commission, but I think that this is routine maintenance of a detention basin that really needs to be done. And unfortunately, too many owners of detention basins don't seek to do this. So John, I appreciate you bringing this before the commission for a decision. I'll go around and poll the group, but I do believe it meets the criteria of the section 4.B.2 exemption. So I'll go around. Commissioner Berlandi, do you think it's exempt or regulated?
I would agree it's exempt.
Thank you. Commissioner Kelsey,
Yeah, I believe it's exempt.
Commissioner Simons,
I also believe it's exempt.
thank you. Commissioner Simpson,
It's exempt.
thank you. Commissioner Tulin,
I agree, it's exempt.
thank you. Okay, so Bruce, we don't need a motion on this, correct? We've concurred, or do we need a motion?
No, we should have a motion on that. So,
Okay.
so clear.
Yep, then I would entertain a motion that the application need not be filed as the activity meets the as of right exemption.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Jay, I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. And if you can just coordinate the activities with Bruce, that'll make sure that everything is done as the commission would expect. So thank you for coming before us and have happy holidays.
You too. Thank you, and we will.
Thank you. Brings us to item 4, Earth Tones Native Plant Nursery and Landscapes, Waterside Lane.
Just give me a minute. This Adobe's a little slower, so I can't open up too many documents at once. It locks up. So let me just put this on up.
And Bruce, is Kyle from Earth Tones on the line?
Yeah, I think he was. Where did I see Kyle?
Yeah, this is Ed Murphy from Woodridge Association. I had expected Kyle to be on, but I at least don't see him on my list. Yeah.
No.
Who's Kay Turo?
Kay Turo. That could be him. Yeah, that could be.
Yeah, that's probably him. Yep.
He didn't use this thing. Yeah, he's raising his hand. There he is. We were wondering who that was. All right. Just accept, Kyle, just accept the promotion, panelist. I'll give a second to this thing pop in. Kyle, I think you're on mute. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Audio. How's that? Better?
There you go.
Perfect.
All right. And all right. I'm Kyle Terozzi. I am the soil scientist and wetland ecologist at Earth Tones Native Plant Nursery. And I'm the representative for Woodridge Association. And Ed Murphy is the chairman of that commission. So what we're proposing is also under section 401, but B, addressing the sediment erosion along the roadway that enters to the beach area and the dock as maintenance. There's some erosion there that we'll see in some later photos. If you could, Bruce, move down, please, to the photo. Okay, this is just showing a little bit of erosion along the road shoulder here. And the proposal is to use native stone to just hold this back and then put some native plants in on the soiled areas so we can get them in. So that's showing what the most of it looks like along the lake. I think I have another one showing that erosion. Okay, this is the only, that's
All right, no, I thought you were looking for a different photo. All right, go ahead.
okay. So we can move on to that. This is the only spot that any real removal of material is. I guess it was explained to me that the children in the neighborhood came along and took the rocks from the pipe that connects the two lakes, that area, and threw it all in here to create a fishing access. And they would like me to just pull that back and then plant this out. So that's the only thing that material is actually right on the wetland edge that would be in a regulated area. All the rest is in the upland review area. But I wanted to point that out. It's about 4 feet by maybe 3 feet. So it's a very small area. but that needs to get pulled back and then the vegetation placed back in there to establish that, to remove the material that they placed in there. Okay. And this is just showing you more open areas that we're just gonna plant in line with the plants that are there, and use native plants in there to get a good rooted vegetation area to help protect the edge here. And some rock there to stop any more erosion. Okay, I think that covers that. All right, the dock. This shows the idea here that we're gonna be, the dock is permanent dock there, and the erosion to the bottom of the picture there where the black line is. I have more pictures showing this. That's where the most significant erosion is. So I want to put rock there to stop this wave action from the prevailing winds taking away the soil that's there, which is happening right now. Okay, Bruce, to the next one. And here's a sketch by our designer to show, there we go. Show that gonna go right to the edge of the dock here and or to the rock that's holding it. Put the rock in there, level this soil, and then add stepstones through the topsoil and keep this as grass. And the stepstones are just there to keep the grass from getting trampled and then subject to more erosion. Okay, I think I have some other pictures of the okay, the erosion. And you can see on the left side here the significant erosion of the soil. So that's where on that left-hand side, we're going to be placing rock. And then a little bit on the right here, there's already some rock you see placed there. But just to stabilize that and make this a safer access and then reduce the erosion. And that is the extent of the proposed activity. And that's just, I was playing with the computer to show about where the rocks are going to go there. And I think those were all my photos.
Yep, that's everything.
And does the commission have any questions about this activity?
Thank you, Kyle. Before we go around, Ed, did you have anything else to add on the application before we go around and poll the commission?
No, nothing to add. I think we asked Kyle to propose remedies here, and so what you've seen is the remedies he has proposed.
Great, thank you both. So I will go around and get a sense from the commission. Both we can ask questions on the overall project, but also weigh in as to whether it falls within the exemption in section 4.b.2. Again, I only hold a single opinion, but I think that the work falls outside of routine maintenance, while the project as presented would likely have an overall beneficial effect on the lake in the wetland area. I do think it falls within a regulated activity versus an exempt activity. And I will go around and poll the commission. So Commissioner Berlanti, any questions in state of exempt or regulated?
I don't have any questions. The presentation was very good to identify what was going on. If it weren't for the dock, I could lean toward it being a non-regulated activity, but this work at the dock is, I think it just puts the application over the edge. So I would entertain accepting an application. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kelsey?
Yeah, I agree in terms of the exempt versus non-exempt status. Question on the dock area that the picture is up right now. Are you bringing material in, or are you just placing rocks? And if so, how much material? I know you said you're going to put grass seed down and everything, but will there be other material coming in?
Yeah, topsoil will have to come back in. That material isn't sufficient to be growing grass. So it's probably about 6 yards of material of topsoil, just so the grass has something to root into. That's primarily sand that's eroded from the left-hand side of that photo, pushed up there, and then so it's not growing soil. It's just not suitable to grow a healthy
Mhm.
grass. So 6 inches of topsoil to connect that. So I would level what the sand that's there, so it's an even layer of soil to support the
Okay.
grass.
And is any work being done outside of where the rocks are, or is it all contained within those red lines?
Yeah, that's the extent of it, just to shore that up so you can see where the soil was and it's just been eroded away. So it's really just to take care of, stop the erosion from happening and the rock, especially on the left-hand side, because that's prevailing winds are causing that to just disappear.
Sure. Okay, and just
So the
one other
rock is
question. Is that
definitely necessary.
okay? And is that a big boulder that the dock is resting on, or?
Correct. It's a very
Okay.
large piece of rock that and the dock's very permanent. So
Okay.
it's metal going down into the side of that. You can see the post on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
And it's a metal frame, so it's permanent dock.
Okay. Nothing further from me at this time.
Thank you. Commissioner Simons?
I would agree on the level of significance, as the other commissioners have noted. Yep, that's effectively it.
Commissioner Simpson?
This is a regulated activity.
Thank you. Commissioner Tulin?
Yeah, I agree. It's regulated activity.
Okay, pretty much have consensus on regulated activity. Is there a motion that this is a regulated activity and that we're accepting the application? Motion to accept
Okay,
the
Jay,
application.
so moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Mark.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Does anyone want to do a site walk in order to determine significance, or do you think you have enough information to determine significance? I'll leave it as an open invite, would not necessarily go around and ask everyone.
This is Rich. I don't think it's rises to the level of a significant application, and I don't think a site walk is needed for me. Anyways, thank you.
Yeah, this is Neil. I agree.
I agree as well.
Okay, it seems to be the prevailing thought, and I concur that I don't feel the need to do a site walk. But for Kyle and Ed, I think prior to the next meeting, we would need to have the full detail, particularly on the dock area. When you say placement of rocks, if you can let us know the size of the rocks and boulders to be placed, and then the fill, I know you talked about a couple inches of topsoil, but we'll need some sort of profile that actually details exactly what's going to be placed, location, type of material. And likewise for the invasive plant removal and plantings, if a fully vetted planting plan as well, that what's being planted, numbers, those sorts of things, and that would enable us to move forward and hopefully resolve all the details and make a decision on our next meeting, which is January 8th.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, gentlemen, thanks for your time and happy holidays. Kyle, good to see you again.
Happy holidays to you.
Right, thank you. Take care.
Good night.
Bye.
No, I don't think so. I don't know if we got an official motion on the non significance.
Oh, okay, then we will do that now. Is
The
there a
accepting of the
motion on
application, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, thanks for catching that, Bruce. Is there a
Oh, okay.
motion for this application as a non-significant regulated activity?
It's great. So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, brings us down to item 5 on our agenda, the cease and desist order for 1509 Farmington Avenue.
Still no update on that one. So I'll update when we hear more.
Well, maybe the new year will bring new things.
Santa will
All
bring
right.
us a present.
All right, Bruce, planners report.
I don't have anything for planners report.
That's a great report. Thank you.
Yep.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of November 6th, 2024?
So move, Mark.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Do I have to, Robert, I'm not sure if I was seated at the meeting. I don't remember, but I know that I left early. So do I need to like abstain or not vote or?
No, if you participated and you
I did participate in something
yep,
came up.
and you
I
reviewed the
couldn't
minutes and you can still vote.
Okay. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, motion carries. So we will adjourn the meeting.
Yeah, Rob, if I could just bring one thing up relative
Sure.
to what we discussed, the New Britain Avenue stuff, 8556, that project the last meeting. And I don't know where we are in that, Bruce. But I've spent a lot of time on the bike trail recently, and at the last meeting, I expressed some concerns about a fence, the privacy fence, and I'd prefer to have some plantings in there. If that's still a possibility, I'd ask the town to reconsider that as you work with the project. There is a shelf there, and if you look at the neighboring properties, and there are stuff growing there, not necessarily 30, 40, 50 feet trees, but greenery, shrub, arborvitaes, that create enough of a buffer, I think. And if you go down to the Connecticut property, which, as you know, I'm familiar with, that when we first put that bridge in and put that trail in, you could see everything down to the parking lot. But there's enough stuff that's been growing there, and it's a similar shaped hill that's effectively blocked that view now. And yeah, I just think that's a lot better. So, with all the wildlife that goes through there, birds and eagles and owls and things like that, I still just wanted to express my disappointment with a privacy fence, and if there's any way to work with the applicant on other ways to buffer that, I'd appreciate it.
All right, yeah, the next step is planning and zoning. So they haven't even submitted their application yet. So once they do, we could definitely discuss it with the commission at that point.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for those comments, and we will adjourn the meeting at 8:18, and we will concurrently open the Conservation Commission meeting at 8:18. Bruce, this looks like a very concise agenda, so unless there's anything to add, we'll move right to approval of minutes. Right, so is there a motion to approve the minutes for the Conservation Commission from November 6th, 2024?
So move, Mark.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Is there, thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries, and the last order of business is to wish everyone happy holidays, and particularly Bruce and Sandy, because you guys do a great job keeping us on track and well informed of everything there is. So I wish you both and your families well over the holidays, and happy holidays to all.
You too. You
Yep.
too.
Happy holidays.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays,
Everyone have a
everybody.
great holiday.
You too, sir. Thank you.
All right, so We will adjourn the meeting at 8:19.